Hi everyone, how are you? And welcome to my new YouTube channel. I'm Beth Bieske, the founder of More Time to Design, a cloud-based studio and project management platform for interior designers, and the host of the Design Dialogues podcast, where every week we talk to designers about how they run their studio. I am passionate about systems and processes. It's a pretty dry topic, but the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because I truly believe it is one of the key foundations that you need to get right in your business to ensure that you have a successful interior design studio for a long time. My experience is in running interior design businesses. I've had my own studio for 6 years, and prior to that, I was the general manager at Greg Natali, one of Australia's best interior designers. And in both my own studio and for working for other designers, I saw that systems and processes was something that was quite often overlooked, or it was something that you kind of muddled your way through because that's how you've always done it. But having good systems and processes in place is the key to a successful business. So, why? Why do you need to have systems and processes in place? So, I want you to take a few minutes just to sit and reflect on the kind of business you currently have. Do you love it? Do you love going to work every day? Do you love the clients that you have? Do you love the type of work that you're doing? Is it the type of work that you always thought you would do? I want you to sit and reflect on that for a few moments. And then I want you to sit and think about, what would you change? What would you do differently? What are the tasks that you hate doing, that you wish you could do better? And what is stopping you from growing your business? Now, when I say grow your business, that might not mean build a team and take on more projects. It might be that you grow your revenue in a way that means you can take more time off. I want you to sit for a moment and really reflect on your current business and how it makes you feel and what changes you could make. And if you made those changes, how would you feel then? So that's the why. I need you to work out the why you need to work on your systems and processes. Because like anything, building a successful business is really hard, and the systems and processes part can be particularly hard. It's not something we're taught at design school. We're not taught how to run a business at design school. We're taught how to do a lot of the technical things and the conceptual things, but we're not taught the business skills that we need. And being a good designer is only a small part of being a successful business owner. They're two very different things. And so the reason why systems and processes are often really hard for people to get right is because they actually don't even know where to start. And sometimes starting can be the hardest thing. So the who needs to have the systems and processes. Well, it's actually everyone involved in your business. It's yourself, the business owner, or the key designer. It's the builders, the clients, it's everyone. If you have systems and processes in your business, good systems and processes, then everyone in the business will take part in implementing those processes. But that can be difficult, getting people on board. So you've got to make sure you take them with you when you start the process. And the how is the tricky part. And I want you to think of me as your guide to show you how to start and then what to do next, because I love systems and processes. So the how is most probably the first thing you really need to think about. When you go, okay, I'm going to do some systems, improve my systems and processes, you need to think about where do you need to improve? And you need to think about what tools you're going to need, but also what you need to get out of those tools. So for example, software is a big part of the playing field now, and obviously More Time to Design is part of that. But one system might work really well for one business, but it might not work well for another business. So you need to be assessing what you need out of the tools that you're going to use to implement your systems and processes. And that's one of the key things that you need to do long before you actually start implementing your new systems and processes. So that's the first part. Make sure you choose the right tools. The second part is you have to be dedicated and committed and disciplined to it. Implementing new systems and processes or setting up systems and processes in your business is a marathon. It's something that you need to do every day. You need to have it part of your workflow, but you also need to set aside larger chunks of time in your week to work on, I suppose, the bigger picture when it comes to your systems and processes. You need to be able to take the time to go, okay, this is the kind of the area that I need to work on, and then break that down, break that process down, and then implement the system into it. Discipline is such a big part of it. And I see so many designers kind of trip themselves up before they've even started because they have great plans. They're going to do all of this wonderful stuff, but then they just don't keep going with it. They might have a good week and then they get busy and then they just stop. And that's not the way to build a successful business. You have to be committed to it and you have to be dedicated. The other thing that I see interior designers really trip themselves up on is that they kind of try and do everything all at once. And the reality is that is a disaster waiting to happen, because we're going to get overwhelmed. There's going to be client work. You can't drop everything to put systems and processes in place. So you have to kind of roll out your systems and processes over in time. That's why it's a marathon. It's definitely not a sprint. So you have to think about the tools you're going to use and the system you're going to implement to roll out the systems and processes. So for example, if you decide to take on a software like More Time to Design. Now, More Time to Design and a lot of the other platforms that are on the market that are similar, they have a lot of features in them. They do a lot of stuff because they're designed to help you do everything in your business. But to jump in and use all of those features at once, they are usually the designers who they might sign up but they never use it, or they don't even get to the end of their trial and they've stopped using it because it's overwhelming. So the best piece of advice that I can offer anyone who's starting to use software or just implementing systems is to take it slowly. Pick one feature of the platform and use that and work that into your day-to-day workflow. A good one that I always say is the time tracking, because that's something that you should be doing from day one. And I see so many designers who don't track their time, and the flow and effects of that for their business is monumental. But that's another video. So you need to pick a part of the platform and get used to using that every day, and then add something else in. And as you might start a new project and you go, okay, well, this is the one that I'm going to have on the platform. So ease yourself into it. It's like, if we go back to our marathon metaphor, you can't decide one morning that you're going to start a marathon and just get up and run it if you've never run before. You need to ease yourself into it. It's the same with implementing systems and processes. A question that I quite often get asked is about, how do I know where to start? How do I know what I should be doing? What is it that you talk about that is systems and processes? One of the things that I think is a really good indicator that you need to put a system and a process around a task is it's a task that you do often that could be easily repeatable and replicable. And a good way of thinking about it is, if you had a process in place, could someone else other than yourself come in and do the task for you? So for example, one of the things that I kind of say is a good place to do is custom cushion template order form. So if you have an upholsterer that you work with and you get custom cushions made, you'll know that there's like quite a few details that you need to include. Now, if you have a template that is, whether it's in Canva or InDesign, that you can then have, and every time you need to go and order that template, a custom cushion, you can then go, okay, I know I need to include these details, and all of the details that the upholsterer is going to need are captured on that document. The document or the template also works as a checklist for you, because you are then going through and going, okay, I've got those details, I've got those details. So there's a couple of things that this template is then allowing you to do. So one, it's allowing you to capture all of the information that you need for that order in one place. It's allowing you to kind of take away at least a couple backwards and forwards with the upholsterer on email because you've forgotten details or they need to clarify something. And it's also lightened your mental load, because every time you make a cushion, you don't have to think, what is it that I need to include, or have I gotten that? It's there, it's just done. You just need to fill out the form. So that is a really good example of something where it's a task that you might do often. It's detail orientated, but is a task you could hand over to someone because they would have a form that they need to follow. So for example, a junior staff member who might never have made a custom cushion before, they're going to know which questions to ask you. They're going to know if they're missing information. It's just all there. And that is the beauty of a template that is part of a system and a process. One of the other things that I think is really important when it comes to systems and processes and the implementing of them, and I've touched on it previously, but I really want to kind of emphasize this point, is that it is so important that you are consistent with it and that it becomes part of your workflow every single day. So if you are using a software platform, have it as part of the your desktop, that it's one of the home pages that opens up automatically every time you open up your computer. So it's there, it's in your face, it's just part of your thing. As much as you open up your emails, you open up your studio management platform. The other thing that I think is really important when it comes to implementing systems and processes is to constantly be coming back to that why. We touched on it at the start, and we did that exercise of sitting and reflecting about what is my business going to look like when I've done the work. So coming back to that often, it doesn't have to be a long thing. I quite often do it while I'm sitting in my car at like school pickup. I take the time to just go, okay, how am I going? Is there areas of work that I don't like doing? Is that because I haven't got a system and process in place that I could have? And just constantly going back and checking in on myself, I suppose, and checking in on my business. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the why is not only, I suppose, the why for you, but I talk to a lot of designers every day. As part of, More Time to Design, and with the Design Dialogues podcast, I have the privilege of talking to designers. And they clearly fall into two groups. There's the designers who have had the business mindset from the first day they open their business doors, maybe even from before that first day. But they knew, they might not always have had them in place, but they knew they had to have good and strong systems and processes in place to allow them to run the business that they wanted to. The other type of designers that I talk to are the designers that have kind of almost fallen into their business. They don't necessarily have the scaffolding around their processes that they should. And so every time they do a project, it's almost like they're starting from scratch again. And the follow on of that is that they don't usually get their pricing right because they're not necessarily tracking their time properly. And so it just means that, at the 5-10 year mark in their businesses, they are burnt out, they are a bit resentful because they're not earning the amount of money they should be. They have that sense that I could be earning more at Country Road or wherever with half the amount of fuss and stress that I currently have with my design studio. And they've really fallen out of love with design, which is sad. And so I really encourage you to think about what is the kind of studio and business that you want to have. And even if you only ever want to have no team members, just yourself, you still need to run it as a proper business. You still need to have systems and processes, because that is what a successful business looks like. A successful business doesn't always have big teams. It doesn't always have, lots of staff around them. It really is how your systems and processes look. That is a really great indicator of a successful business. So I hope you really enjoyed this first video in my new design series, and we're going to be doing one of these every month. And it ties in with the podcast episodes and the interviews that we're doing, but it really is your place to come and learn about systems and processes. And I really want you to think of me as your guide to help you build better businesses. See you soon, guys.